And I'm the president of the African Caribbean Society at UAL. I also study journalism at LCC, and I'm very excited to have collaborated with Gabrielle Smith, the Nublk, to put on this event. Just to let you know that we're still actually running our Film and Literature Festival, which was basically to kind of highlight our black filmmakers and writers in the industry. It's not that often that we have a platform, so this was something that we thought would be a good opportunity to do. And also thanks to LCC for also and the Students' Union for supporting us with this project as well. We have a few things on sale or donation. Basically, we're trying to also fundraise for our trip to Haiti, which we're going to be doing later on this summer. So it's a voluntary trip that we're going to do in Haiti. So please feel free after the event to just have a look, and if there's any donations you want to put in the box, please feel free to.
My name is Gabrielle. I'm the founder of an arts and culture platform called the Nublk. It's been going since 2008. It started off as an online platform where I featured arts and featured creators from Africa and the diaspora. And in the past 2 years, we've started doing more offline events. So it's really good to see so many of you turn out for this event. I'm really super excited about the 5 short films that we'll be showing, and directly after the films we'll be having a Q&A, so I hope you enjoyed. So did you enjoy the screening?
Yeah!
Sorry, a friend of mine was like at the last one. So this is Cecile. Cecile is a director and writer known for the online documentary series Strolling and also Aki and Saltfish. She has previously worked with Oval House Theatre as a writer, and she is a member of the National Theatre's Young Studio. Strolling is an online film series which explores and connects the nuances of the Black experience. Each episode documents a stroll with people in various cities and countries around the world, having refreshingly raw and honest conversations about various issues at the forefront of their society. I'll read also Wahi, she's here just Wahi, who directed I Know, is a writer, screenwriter, and indie film producer from London and assistant to Ola and Ola Cardi Films. Her films are the result of collaborations with upcoming directors inspired by life experiences, mostly with a social or psychological backdrop. In 2013, her film Unveiling Maeva was selected for several festivals, including the Shuffle Festival, which was curated by renowned English director Danny Boyle. Her work alongside the films she regularly produces for Cardi Films continues to circulate extensively online and at festivals worldwide. And I'll read Anisha's intro. Anisha, who directed the Wings film, is a filmmaker and poet focused on tackling social issues in engaging and entertaining ways. As a spoken word artist, she's been invited to perform at the House of Commons, the V&A, the Ministry of Justice, Rich Mix, and the Free Word Centre, as well as many other institutions. Anisha has been commissioned to produce work for such organisations as the UN and Middlesex University. As a finalist in the Media Trust Dream to Screen competition, Wings has been screened at Cineworld O2 nationwide, as well as at the BFI. So I will ask my first question. Can you give us a little bit of information about your background? Did you go to film school, or was it something that you kind of like picked up?
I didn't go to film school. I used to study art, and when I dropped out of uni, I just started going out the camera and just taught myself.
So what did you start? Which uni did you study at? Sorry.
I went to the University of Miami and University of Leicester, but I didn't finish. So.
Cool. Something that has been a hot topic, I guess, for the past few months, maybe the past couple of years, is like diversity schemes. What are your thoughts on diversity schemes? As a creator, do you feel enough has been done to include diversity within TV and film?
I don't think diversity schemes will be able to like undo what's been done. I guess it helps a bit, but I always found that it's kind of like a plaster on like cancer, like it's not really gonna help the problem. So
Carrying on from that, do you think that it's still the case that America is still the mecca for black film talent to go to?
Yeah, I think so. Like I even found that like it's been like American like producers and executives like approaching me like no one in the UK. So I think there's just like no support there like whatsoever.
I don't know if any of you guys have seen Strolling and Aki and Saltfish. It's like really amazing web series. I was asking her about the feedback that she's received because in the past like month, maybe couple of months, there's been so much feedback from like US blogs online, New York Times, Ebony magazine, but in the UK I haven't really seen any interviews from any like The Guardian, any online. So I was kind of asking her why she thinks that is and what the reaction or what the difference is. She seems to think is like the difference in how UK appreciates their own homegrown talent and how other people outside seem to appreciate something that's new and refreshing. So
I don't know why, I couldn't tell you, how to ask them, but I've noticed that like when black people like when we go somewhere where we're not from, we're like much more accepted. So like black British people like I feel like have like a privilege when they go to America or anywhere, even like France like or Germany, like just because we're different, so you kind of want to hear our stories. Whereas the same way like African Americans kind of get ignored. Like I noticed my work's got more attention than other African American people in America, but then sometimes their work will get more acknowledgement here. So I don't know, it's like some kind of weird thing where we're not celebrating where we're from here.
And also following on from that, you're quite in the interviews that I have read with you, you're quite specific in that you're keen to explore other black experiences apart from the US black experience, because it seems like in terms of media and influence and fashion and music, the US black experience is almost like the de facto black experience. So what is your kind of thoughts on why you think that is, and do you think how much do you feel needs to be done by other people sharing their black experiences to kind of have a more level playing field?
I think it's just that way because America's like a imperialist like power, like globalization. So I think it's just like a byproduct of that. The African Americans are the most visible. I'm interested in still exploring their stories. I still feel like the way they're represented is very like it's like a single story narrative. Like being black in New York would be different to being black in like Tennessee, but they have stories to tell. But I'm interested in telling like black British stories because like growing up I didn't see that at all. And also like learning from other people's experiences, whether it's like France or Spain or Guadeloupe. Like I'm just excited to like learn more because I feel like when we come together, like something special can happen.
In terms of, I was talking to a friend of mine about like the UK golden age of TV, like in the 80s and 90s when you had your like Desmonds and stuff like that. Do you think that with the rise of more online people like yourself and like Brothers with No Game, do you think that there's a possibility that there could be kind of like a black British renaissance in like TV and online? Do you think there's a possibility for that to kind of happen?
I feel there's definitely a possibility, like hopefully it will happen, but I mean like right now, like like I said, I've received so much more support elsewhere, so I wouldn't be like, yeah, it's gonna happen, but like hopefully, but I feel like it's gonna be kind of like the Idris Elba effect, where like you do well in like HBO or something, and then like BBC want you to do a show.
Then you find that's a little bit odd though, because I guess with diversity schemes, it's kind of like we want this talent, and it's like being created, but it's like, oh, okay, you're not really watching for it until, like you say, it has to go away, and then you're like, oh yeah, it really was good, and then it comes back. Then you find that's a little bit, it's kind of back, they're not kind of seeing what is right in front of their faces sometimes.
I feel like it just shows their true intentions, like they don't want it to be diverse, like they just want like their token black person on the team. They don't want to really have it diverse. Like I feel like actions speak louder than words. They're saying they want diversity, but no one gets support, so.
And what's your kind of what's your end goal in terms of having you've started online? Is your hope to go into TV, or is it that you want to stay online?
Like both. I feel like I feel like some people undervalue online content. Like you can see a lot of the big programs people would want to be on are going online, whether it's like HBO or BBC and stuff. So I want to do both really. I don't really want to pick. I like online because you can have complete freedom.
And in terms of finance, obviously making films and web series costs money. How do you go about making your series financially viable?
It's not. It's just not. It's not sustainable. I think when you don't have resources, you just have to get like really creative with like the content. That's why a lot of my stuff is like dialogue based, because we don't have money to do our stuff. So like you just use your skills. Like you take what you have and you make what you can do. It's like you take what you've got and then you make it what you can. And I feel like I just try to use like my writing and directing skills like really well to like make what I do make stand out, even if like the budget was like £0. Yeah.
And same to you, Waiki. What in terms of, I know you work with Ola and Olan.
Like Cecile said, it's not. Everything we do is privately funded, comes from our own pockets. We've not tried the whole crowdfunding thing yet, but it will happen eventually. We probably will one day. And it's just for the love of the art. We just fund it ourselves. Yeah.
In terms of finding your voice as a filmmaker and also as a woman, and do you feel that they're kind of intertwined together in terms of your work, the stories that you kind of tell?
I feel like I'm still finding my like film voice. Like Strolling's the first thing I ever filmed myself, so I'm still like finding it. And I think just doing it, just like doing something, putting it out there, people watch it, it's okay. Like I put Strolling, I didn't think anyone was ever gonna watch it, so it's like surprising. But yeah, I think just creating stuff, like try if you don't like it, just keep trying to create things that you like, and then that's your voice. I guess my voice is a woman. I don't know, I guess like everything I am is like one, so like I don't know how to like separate the two. So yeah, I guess it's like connected.
Cool. What are your thoughts on encouraging more black students and people, young people of colour, to get into the arts, and also focusing on how we can get parents and institutions to encourage black people to get into the arts? Because I think it's definitely improving, but I still think there can kind of be a reaction like art is not a viable or sustainable form, and it's not something that's really appreciated. So what are your thoughts on getting more young people interested in not only doing it as a hobby, but also actually going to study it?
The spaces where you're asking people to come should be more welcoming. I've thought about film school, but like I went to university and a school that was like a white space, like very academic, very elitist. Those spaces are really off-putting. Like I know people who go to St. St. Martin's, and these kind of like the top places you'd go if you're going to study art or something like that, and they're not welcoming to black people. So if they want to see us there, then they should make it cater to everyone. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of what your has your family been quite supportive of the work that you're kind of doing with video work?
They are now. It's like getting more attention. I mean, they weren't at first. I was studying maths, so like they thought I was gonna go that way.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
Studying
Apparently, some people. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I think all parents. I mean, not all parents. Some parents, especially come from a certain background. Like I was the first person to go to university, like full time, properly in my family. So. Yeah, at first I don't think they understood, but you can't live your life for other people, so it's got to do what you got to do.
In terms of your web series and other filmmaking projects, are there people that you'd like to work with?
Yeah, there's loads of people. Like, there's so many great filmmakers. Like, it's hard to like name some, because like loads. I don't work with everyone really, but I really love Terrence Nance.
Yes.
Like, his work is amazing. I really like to work with him one day. But even the films we're showing today, like everyone's stuff was amazing. Like, I think it's good for us all to collaborate in some way. Yeah.
What's next for you?
Like carrying on with Strolling, like going more places, filming that Aki and Saltfish, it's like nearly finished now. yeah, trying to maybe develop it into like a full-length series, possibly. And then like just writing like other stuff. It's not strolling like Saltfish, like new work. Yeah.
And in terms of your strolling series, are you planning to take that outside of Europe and discover other like diaspora groups in the rest of the world? And stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's just once we get like funding and stuff, it'll be easier. But yeah, definitely. Want to go like everywhere.
Okay.
So I've got a Black women's magazine called Afro Noir, and I found that on my course, I think we were doing a module on media and the contextual studies surrounding media, and a lot of the time when I would speak on certain things using the sort of experiences that I faced, it always gets sort of like dismissed as in because we don't know that much about it, we're not really gonna talk about it, which is unfair, but I think that's motivated me to sort of push with what it is that I'm doing. And in relation to what Cecile said about what it is that you were talking about her work getting more attention over the US, I think I came across Akin Saltfish maybe like before the end of last year, and I can't remember which platform I saw it on, but it was only on one platform. But in the past couple of weeks, I've just been, I've been seeing it getting retweeted on the American platform. So I'm thinking, one of the ways in which we could remedy, like the whole support thing is by creating more, platforms over here to actually push our own work. Because, by having like the smaller, platforms, making the noise and creating some sort of a buzz would be, one of the ways in which like the bigger institutions here will sort of notice it. So yeah, I think that's what we should do, creating more platforms and supporting it.
I'd just like to know what prompted strolling, and the women that you were filming were French. Why didn't they speak French and just subtitled? Why was there the need to speak it in English?
The French question, as this girl mentioned, like a lot of people I spoke to, they said similar things, that like talking about race and like feminism was like really hard in French because it's like literally like they don't have the words. So they spoke in English. Like I didn't like tell them to, like they just chose to. Yes, that's that. And then what was the other thing you said? Strolling. I wanted just to, again, like kind of what you said, like I just did it for me. Like in the kind of conversations that I had, I enjoy them. I like having them with people. And I noticed sometimes when I would have it with people, like they would think they're like the only person. So I thought it would be like nice to like capture them on film and like share them, so that like people don't have to feel like they're the only person in the whole world that thinks the way they do. Because not everyone maybe lives in London, so they can't come to these events, or not everyone's like around people who think like them. So I just wanted to kind of capture it like online.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about especially strolling, and particularly the people featured in strolling. It's quite a particular the way they speak and how they think. It's not really, when they showcase black people in the UK, those are not the voices definitely not the voices that you hear. So from everybody I know who's seen it, like here, and friends I have in the US, that are always really interested and inspired by, there's people in the UK having these really interesting conversations, and not just like I'm an English and I'm a baddie, or I'm playing like somebody who's not, no offence to anyone who's English standard by the way, but just conversations that kind of go a little bit deeper and are kind of challenging what's kind of going on, and saying like, I'm black, but I don't really feel like I fit in here, and these are the problems that I see, and these are the issues, and just something that kind of sparks your thought process to make you think a little bit deeper. So that's definitely something that a lot of people I know who've seen strolling and resonated with.
Just to say, I absolutely love strolling. I've watched like every single episode, and like you said, what I love about it is its diverse voices. I think Chimamanda Ngozi, the writer, said there's a danger of a single story and having one narrative about black people. So what's brilliant about strolling is having all these different types of black people across Europe that we get to see. And another comment actually about the Nublk, I would not have known about strolling if it wasn't for your organisation. So big up to you, because not a lot of people promote it. But going along with that, do you think there's an importance or a need to kind of network with different kind of organisations like this? Because you mentioned Terence Nance, and I did some work with him during an oversimplification of her beauty. And what was interesting was, in America, they have so many different types of black organisations that work together and promote each other. With the Nublk, I was talking to my friend, she hadn't heard about it. And I think that other black organisations like the Images of Black Women Film Festival, Afro Noir, you mentioned, Magazine in Front, do you think there's an importance to kind of network as these kind of spaces to provide, you know, a place for different voices?
In terms of networking with other black networks, I'd say, I definitely, like with Afro Noir, we're cool, and there's other, no shade babes, no shade. Yeah, I think it's definitely, I don't know, maybe sometimes I feel I don't really put myself out there enough to network, and it's not because I don't want to, but then on the flip side, I sometimes feel as though, and I've had this conversation with my friend, that in terms of being the new black, Afro Noir, we're like, I call it the tiny temper syndrome, where you're like, you're that black guy. So no other black guy is going to come into your space, and if I work with you and we're both black, there's a chance that you might knock me off my #1 spot. And it's taken me so long to get here that I don't really want to open it up to you. And I think there can sometimes be a bit of a competitive streak when it comes to black organisations in the UK. So even though you might be like, I'm like a huge fan of collaboration. Like, I'll collaborate with anybody because I feel like there's so few of us here that when we work together, it's like amazing, because you're bringing something that you might not have and something that you might not have together, and you're making something amazing with it. But I think that, I don't know, there's the kind of this desire to be the only black person doing it, because then everybody sees you as this big thing, and I don't want you to get that kind of shine, which is a shame. But I definitely think that, yeah, I think more needs to be done in terms of working together. Yeah.
The political structures have changed so much that the people who gather political mass, the people who work together. And I think that if you've got so many organisations who are working so skillfully to build their audiences, when you come together, you become critical political mass. I think that what you've got at the moment is commercial credibility on your platforms, but things don't really shift unless you've got some politicians in your corner. That's why people like Diane Abbott, who's been campaigning and has a quite high profile, support certain artists who do get help to promote their work and do get help to find new audiences in the mainstream. So I think that, you know, there needs to be some sort of shift. I sometimes feel that, why is it we're always starting with zero? You know, we did this in the 80s, but, you know, why are you still starting with zero now? It shouldn't be like that. You should actually be working together to bring your platforms together and going into facing the political presence that you're up against that keeps us sort of marginalised.
So there's like a generational gap between our
Yeah,
generation.
exactly. Yeah.
And there's a huge
Even the generation that are in like their 30s, maybe, I sometimes even feel like a disconnect there, and especially the generation that like goes and also a lot of black spaces, it's black men that own them, and I've experienced a lot of like sexual harassment, like going to spaces like that, just generally like when you're a black woman, just because that's a black man doesn't mean they're going to respect you the same way they would another black man or another man, another artist, whatever. So yeah, I feel like a lot of the gatekeepers are black men and older men, and sometimes they have like patriarchal values, and like they want to like police your work. So like if I have a film with someone that has weave, why is she wearing weave? I'm like, 'cause she wants to. Anyway, just stuff like that. I just feel like the generation that are like up there, sometimes like they want to police what we do, not support it. They want us to do what they did, not what we want to do. So, and also I wouldn't even know how to like connect with them, because like it seems like an idea. Like I just don't know where they are. How do you do that? I don't know how it got disconnected, but I just feel like we're starting from zero, which is sad, because like I said, you guys did so much work.
Some of those black faces in a white space. I'm a fundraiser for a national arts organisation, and the advice or a little bit of information that I would give is that nationals are not getting money. So, and also you've got to be very aware of what the political mood is. We are in, whether we want to call it a coalition or not, we are in a conservative time, and the next election is likely to be conservative. They do not care for the wider effects of art. It's not about your transformative powers, it's about high art and high culture. And from the point of view that black arts is deemed as being popular art and not high culture, it will not be funded. It will be not funded in the same way. So the responsibility has to be taken for us to fund our own art. And that is putting our hands in our pockets and paying for things and giving it cultural value. That is where we need to be sitting. It's not about applying for funding streams, because nationals are going from 90% to 50% funding. Now, if they're not getting the money, I don't know where the smaller organisations think that they're going. So it's really about having a long-term vision and also being very aware that we need to be more responsible, and that's not necessarily just from the artists, that's also from the point of view of the consumer. You have to be willing to pay for these things.
You mentioned in passing that you were previously studying for a mathematics degree. So like, if you don't mind, to sort of answer the question, if you mind elaborating on how you moved away from that traditional, if you like, white middle class route to what you're doing now, and if you like, what really stimulated that decision? If you don't mind that.
I guess I come from, like I said, I was like, one of the first people in my family to go to university, especially for that kind of degree, and like get into kind of schools I could get into. So there's like a lot of, when you pick what you're doing in university, you're like 16, you're not even 18. So at that time, I just listened to my parents and my teachers, and I was really, really good at maths, like just really good, and it wasn't hard for me at all. And I enjoyed it at that time because it was so easy. So I just felt loads of pressure to do that, and everyone kind of told me art is not like a stable career, don't do that, keep it as a hobby, do it after. And you're 16, like, I know some people have these parents who are like, don't know, like, were like in the Black Power movement in the 80s and stuff or whatever, or like just very open-minded like my parents are. My mum's family my mum comes from like a poor immigrant family from Jamaica, my dad's poor estate in Islington or whatever, so it was just like, you're good at maths, like go and do it. And at the time I was like, yeah, it's really easy, so let me just go do it. Once I got to university, I was like, I don't like this. I just didn't know what I was wanting to do, and like 16 is a young age to like pick what you want to do forever. You just listen to people around you, so I did that, and then once I got there I was like, I don't like this. And then when I went to Miami to study, I got to like study different stuff other than maths alongside it, and like had other opportunities. And when I came back, I was just like, I don't want to do it, so I'm just not going to do it. And that was kind of like, I don't know, I was really, really, really unhappy. And I was just like, it's not worth it. So that was that. That was the end of maths.
Would you say that being black or being African or not is actually coming in culture as some form of culture at the moment?
I think that like the media are kind of like sensing like the changes happening, like politically, socially, and they're just trying to cash in on it basically. They know that everyone's interested in that right now, so if you do those articles, it's like clickbait. Because we know that's been happening, it's like nothing new. So it's not even like it's informative, not trying to help anyone. I think it's just like we're trying to cash in. I don't think it's like genuine, like we're concerned for this woman who didn't get her job. It's more like, you guys are talking about this right now, so let me get my coins and put it out on an article.
Most of the time there's a lot of negative imagery and negative words associated with natural hair. People say things like nappy. I mean, that's a diaper. It doesn't have positive connotations. We speak about it in a very destructive way, and I mean, I know I haven't got my hair naturally right now, but not a lot of black women walk around with natural hair, and it adds a kind of bad perception. So I'm not necessarily saying that, every black woman needs to walk around in a particular way, but we have to be very conscious of how we present ourselves as black people, because there's a big debate over the usage of the N-word as well. I mean, if black people continue to say disrespectful things to each other races will feel like it's permissible to say those things as well. So I see a whole lot
the word nigger isn't going away. And I had an epiphany today about because I always try to avoid saying that word. I'm always trying to avoid saying that word. But it sounds fucking nice. It does sound nice. And the thing is, they knew what they're doing. They knew what they're doing. And the word nigger, the thing that white people hate us saying is this. for the first time in their lives, they know what it feels like to invent something and not and can't own it. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. And that's why you see people crying on TV and Piers Morgan saying, I just don't understand why they're saying it. It's because you don't understand how you can create something and you don't own it anymore. And that's a little taste of what it's like to be black. So I think, you know what, if you like to say the word, innit? Do you know what I mean? If you want to say the word, say the word. I don't think our liberation hinges on whether we say nigger or not. The fact is, they invented it. It's us.
What's it called? All I wanted to say is that whether you got weave or not, like, you are still a beautiful black woman, and Cecile did this thing about fake deep, yeah, and I said that time ago, and I was like, real talk, and I was like, gun finger in your little film. and there's a lot of dons out there that are like, oh, you get me, like, I want this woman with this kind of hair and them things, and they're putting up them images, but it's all shallow, you get me? Like, we're still righteous and still beautiful, whether we've got extensions or we bile off our head, you get me? So so the reason why I wanna, attach onto what you said is because you was like, oh, I'm not wearing my hair natural today, but you're still righteous today with your braids and all them kind of things there, you get me? So I just needed to say that.
If you want to network with people and you want to create bridges between the different generations that you were saying you feel, we've certainly felt all of those over 50 and a few of us over 50. You have to talk between all those different areas, and in terms of teaching the film and television department here, I just want to say something about these films and how they're very energetic because they are really grappling with trying to find a new aesthetic, a new way of telling a story. I don't think it's necessarily the color or black, whatever that is, but they're trying to find a new form, and they're doing it by bridging all of those different areas, getting out there, making a network, finding a voice, improvising, listening to the insights, all of those things.
Obviously, the reason why you guys are making these films is because these stories aren't being told. We're not seeing these stories out in the media. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's a lack of visibility of black women, especially? Because there's a lot of black men on TV, I think, but there's not a lot of black women. Why do you think there's a lack of that image? And even the image that we see is primarily the Beyoncés and the Rihannas. Why do you think that is?
I feel like it's like a product of white supremacy, which are countries based upon like Britain, the British Empire, like literally wouldn't exist today if they didn't go around exploiting brown people all over the world. So yeah, like white supremacy is the center. That means our media it's centered around white people. That means the schools are centered around white people. That means every institution, everything that comes out of society is centered around that. So I feel like it's just a byproduct of that. We don't have like the generational wealth that white people have, so like we can't create those, like Britain, like African Americans have like it's a different experience, but in Britain we don't have that, and I just wanted to like throw out a whole new conversation. I don't know if people ever thought about it before, but like reparations, it's quite controversial, but TBH, yeah, like my family need a check, Jamaica needs a check, Nigeria needs a check, everyone needs a check. And I'm saying that like in a comical way, but like literally like reparations is so serious because everyone else if they went to war with someone, they got reparations. Britain got reparations, and I just think like we as a community should stop thinking like, oh, that's never gonna happen. Yeah, it is gonna happen. It's like if you look at the political climate now, imagine what it's gonna be in 50 years' time. So anyway, I just wanted to like throw that out there. I don't know if anyone has any opinions. I know some people think it's stupid, but why is that stupid? Jewish people got reparations, Britain got reparations, everyone got reparations.
So reparations, I think, is something that when people talk about it, it just gets poo-poo, like this is a joke, you're having a fucking bubble. Like, it's just not a serious thing. I've seen stuff on TV where black women have come on BBC and stuff like Question Time, and they literally get slaughtered by everyone in the audience saying it's ridiculous. I think reparations isn't like the Dave Chappelle skit when you just get a bag of money. I think reparations come from how about you don't tax people so much. If you've come from a background where the oppression of your ancestors led to Great Britain becoming great, then you can get taxed less, or you have more opportunities to get into more scholarships and things like that. The same way in America, if you're if you have a certain percentage of Native American heritage, you get free education. So it's not that far-fetched. And I was wondering, to you, if you have anyone, if that conversation's been spoken about, and how serious people take it, or is that something that's completely out of the way? Because I agree with you. I think it is going to happen. And it will, I don't know. I just like it to happen before I die. But I think it's gonna happen. I think part of it as well is like people don't. A lot of our issues come from the fact that the world pretends we haven't got issues. Yeah. The world pretends that no, there's something wrong with you. I think the first thing is like these oppressing people, these oppressors who are addicted to oppressing, need to understand they've got a problem. They need to understand, okay, we're addicted to oppressing people, and then you've got to understand, okay, this is what you've done, and this is the effect it has. It's not just about, oh, I can't get a job, it's also about like, oh, my mum has mental issues from the fact that people came to a village, so on. I have issues because of the generational accumulation of those problems. It's like, let's admit that first of all. Let's not pretend that you and I are the same.
In the UK, and Esther Stamford is one of the leading people. She's even defended it on the Big Question. So it's all what you're saying, it's already out there, and they're fighting, they're going through, she's a lawyer, and they're going through the legal channels. So if you, Black History Walks, Black History Studies, if you go onto these websites, you will be in tune with the people that are leading and actually getting somewhere. There's also there's a march in when? August? These marches that they're having to mobilise the people, it's mostly the older generation that goes on these marches. Yeah? So this intergenerational conflict shouldn't be here because everybody's working to the same end. Starting from different points, but there's a lot out there already that the older generation are promoting, and it's actually going very far. But it's obvious a lot of the younger generation, I haven't heard of it. Because I'm sitting there thinking a lot of this is already out there. But some of you I recognise from certain things I've seen before, but a lot of you are not aware, that's what I put in that word. But there is a big reparations movement out there. And then I said, Esther Stamford is one of the leading, she's so stoic, she's one of the leading people moving it. But it's an actual group of people. So, it's, you know, you need to link up with them and maybe get on the committee, yeah, as a younger voice. Maybe that might be the way forward.
We don't really have lots of disposable income going at the moment, but I would say one thing, because tiny drops of water do contribute to a mighty ocean. I think Cecile currently has over 3,000 and something followers on Twitter. Think for a moment, if everybody just put £1 in, just £1, you already have about £3,500 to do something with. So it's a case of just don't think that whatever you can do is really small, because it's still important. So even if you've enjoyed an episode of Back in Saltfish, or you've watched Wings and really enjoyed it, and you're like, I've got like £1 today, or I've got £5, don't think that's not enough, because sometimes I think maybe in our communities we snub and think, oh gosh, that's small amount, you know. I think there's so many of us, and working together, I'm a big fan of collaboration. I think getting together, and there aren't many resources, so getting together, we're all sort of building all these little platforms. Sometimes it's best if we come together and share the resources that are so limited in the first place. So it's just reiterating the fact that tiny drops of water make a mighty ocean.
What are some of the platforms that you support yourself, or you like? Blogs, Twitter, Tumblr, anything like that?
There's just a quick point I wanted to mention from before, actually. A good point about reparations, but kind of a bit off topic to that. We need to really utilise our celebrities, or our black celebrities. Just thinking, for example, I mean, I'm not a football fan, but every time I see my brother watching football, I always see so many black football players, and a lot of them either have African surnames or Caribbean surnames. And we need to try and see if they can actually get on board as well with this collaborative process. One of the things that I think is really, really good within the creative sector is that there's something called SEIS or EIS, and that means that people can actually get, people who earn over a certain amount can actually use whatever they would be taxed on, and that would just go towards a creative project. So say, for example, someone's earning 50,000, they could only be taxed on 40,000 if they give the £10,000 away. So there's different ways to make it appealing to celebrities or people with money, so to speak. In terms of blogs, I've recently started following Cecile, actually, only after when I heard about this event. I looked into your work and I really liked it. Other than that, it changes and it varies so much. There's a lot of activist organisations that I'm looking at, for example, Shake, and there's a young lady at the back, Candice, who I met not too long ago. It's just there's a lot of networking. I can't really say one particular blog has really captured me, and that's probably because I've been doing a lot of filmmaking on the go and by myself and not really networking as much as I should do. But I'm open to hearing about any resources that people know of. And also IdeaStack, before it closes, like look up IdeaStack.
Yes. I follow like all the blogs, like No Fly on the Wall by Sienna, Sydney Black, like OK Africa, Afropunk. There's so many people out there. I feel like I follow all of them. They're all really great. In particular, like OK Africa and Afropunk, they supported me like from the very get-go. When no one else did, they always used to post my stuff. And they have big audiences, so I've always appreciated them, and they post really good content. So yeah, I really love them. And obviously you support me from the get-go as well, so yes.
Yeah, UK blog, I like everybody.
Afro Noir.
Yes, Afro Noir, definitely support Afro Noir. Lots of artists and creators. Abby, sorry, I have to give you a shout out. Illustrator, really dope illustrator. No Fly on the Wall, I didn't know that was your blog, but yeah.
A lot of people have mentioned funding and getting money out to artists, and I completely hear everyone and supporting our own having autonomy and getting out there. But also, you need money to make things. I mean, sometimes you need money, and I think very often people from the Afro-Caribbean community don't know how to access the funds. So for instance, I met up with Onisha because I won some funding, an IdeaStack, $4,000, thank you God. I needed it, and Onisha was like, I want to direct your film, and we started talking. I got someone different directing, but me and Onisha planning to hopefully work together, and that was the way we connected. Now through that, I also met someone else from Words of Colour who was like, you know what, we're editors, you want to edit your films, they're black people, and because I had a bit of money, I was like, okay, you can do this. Where else can you get money from? And I also work in kind of producing and stuff, and I worked with Debbie Tucker Green. She had a film, I don't know if anyone saw it, called Second Coming. Now it was on Channel 4, mainstream, but she got money for it, and because she had a reputation, she could get the actors and people she wanted. Now when I was working with her, she said it's very important to know how to access these mainstream people. And I also work in production. Very often people are terrified about the long application forms and getting it in there. But I think if there's money there, if there are people like creative access, you mentioned the one with tax as well, Onisha. There's one called Creative Access is quite good. I can't remember the other one, but there are a lot of funding sources. If you can get the money, get it. You can get autonomy in your work, but always try and access the funds out there. There's actually a list, and if people are interested, I can send around an email. We're trying to get more Afro-Caribbean people from different backgrounds to start accessing these funds and getting their work made out there. So I think definitely be autonomous, create your own work, but don't kind of hide away from mainstream sources that can provide money and get more of your work out there.
Cool. Candice mentioned earlier fund by IdeaStack. I've been shortlisted to direct one of the films, so I'll find out next week if I am actually directing it. Aside from that, I'm going to be working on a feature film in June. And a company approached me asking me if I could just direct something that's focused on, it's actually called Coming to Hingland, so you can see that there's Jamaican roots, even though I'm from a different Caribbean island, but I'm learning a bit about Jamaican culture now, and it's basically focusing on child sex abuse during the Windrush period and how it affected young black girls being in a new country and obviously not having anywhere to go, anyone to talk to, and being quite distant from their paternal parents. So that would be filming in June, but I don't know when we'll actually wrap and have it out for post-production.
So yeah, check out the website and follow and tweet and tumble and all those kind of things. I'd like to say a very big thank you to our filmmakers, Anisha, Cecile, and also Waiki thank you to Kai guys for reaching out to. It's so funny. I actually applied to London College of Communication when I was looking for a university to go to and got rejected. So it's kind of surreal to be putting on an event here. So yeah, and also thank you guys for coming and for your questions and support and everything. It's really good. The turnout's been really, really amazing. I don't know if all of you like signed up via Eventbrite or paid on the door or whatever, but if you want to follow the Nublk on Twitter and Facebook, and we also have a mailing list, so keep updated with what's going on and all those kind of things. The website has been touched for a long time.
Thank you for organising it.